Hi there traders, and welcome to the latest edition of the Keyzone Traders Trade of the Week. And this week we are going to be looking at a trade that we took on our expert alert service this week. We haven't visited a trade from our expert alert service for a while, and this week we're going to take a look at a trade that we took on the US dollar Japanese yen earlier on in the week. Hi there traders, so welcome to the trade of the week. This is a trade that we took on our expert alert service earlier on in the week. It was on the dollar yen, as I said. So you can see that we had this zone of resistance that was potentially support. So you can see we held it as resistance here, we broke through and held it as resistance here, held it as resistance here, and then held it again as resistance here. We then got this impulsive push through, and this was the first time that we'd tested this clear resistance zone since we had that impulsive push through. So there was liquidity there before, it was an area of strong resistance, and when we see that, we often can find it defended by the other side on the retest. So because there was a lot of liquidity there and it was a clear zone of resistance, it will then try and act as support. It's a really strong signal that we see very often in the markets. We also was looking for the higher time frame context. And for the when we're executing on the 1 hour time frame, we use the daily time for our higher time frame context, and you can clearly see this is in a very strong bull trend at the moment. Often since sort of like March time, this has just been in a really strong bull run. We're holding above the moving averages. Clearly, it's the direction that we're trying to trade in is with the overall long term trend in the market. So with that being said, we had a clear area of liquidity that had been a strong resistance before and now could actually potentially act as support. We had the higher time frame context, and we had a reversal signal. It's nothing more simple than that. There's nothing more complex than that about it. So we had this this signal, the reversal. So once we saw this reversal, we had our entry details. We had our entry at 136.715, and we had our stop at 136.46, which was 25.5 points. Now, with this trade, what we actually try and do is we go for a 2-to-1 risk to reward. So our target was at 137.22 spot 5. There. So we have a 2-to-1 risk to reward. Now, what we also do with this is because we had a potential, if you can see here, we had what was support here, and it tied in with confluence with the 20 moving dynamic resistance of the moving average on the hourly chart as well. So there is potential that the market could have reacted from here. That was around a 1-to-1 risk to reward as well. So we used that and we took half profits at 1-to-1 risk to reward to make the trade risk free, meant we couldn't lose on the trade, and then we target 2-to-1. So our overall return on that trade was 1.5, or potential return was 1.5 R, and we risked 1% of these trades, so it was 1.5%. Our initial risk was 1% on the trade, as I say, but once we get to that 1-to-1 risk to reward, we take our half profits, which means we can either, if we get stopped on the other half of the trade, we lose nothing. We've made 0.5% on the initial position, we would lose 0.5%, which would net it off, and we would be break even. And if it goes to our full target, we make 1.5%. So you can see this, we entered this trade at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it broke up, and we had a couple of hours where it was a little bit small of drawdown, but nothing too crazy, nothing too bad. And then overnight we had a strong move up, and we hit our target overnight. So we hit our target about 2 o'clock in the morning. So we held that trade for about 10 hours, and we made 1.5%. So hopefully from this you can see it's not really anything too complex or too complicated. We had a zone of clear resistance, so we were expecting that to be support on the retest. We had our reversal pattern, and it was with the higher time frame context. It was as simple as that, and we entered the trade, and we were fortunate to be able to set and forget it, and it hit our take profit target overnight. So it's really nice when these trades happen, and they're quite straightforward and risk free very quickly, and they hit their target very quickly. And that was a trade that we issued for our expert alert service this week. So hopefully you can see the reasoning behind it. I hope you found this useful. I hope you're having a fabulous weekend. If you've got any questions or comments, let me know what you think of the review in the comments box below, and I will speak to you again soon.